Right, guys, Tottenham and Milan just played out a 0-0 draw, meaning that Milan go through to the quarter-final of the Champions League after winning the first leg by a 0-0. And this game, yeah, it's definitely a game, well, the sort of game that you associate Tottenham with in their recent history. You never felt as though Tottenham were going to score throughout the game. Milan never never looked uncomfortable at any point in the game. They defended reasonably well, but Tottenham just didn't trouble them enough. There wasn't any shots on target for either team in the first half, but I mean, you can't fault Milan for that because primarily they're focusing on not conceding, and if they can on the counter attack, using players like Rafael Leao, Teo Hernandez, and I know Giroud's not the quickest, but he can, get forward and finish off opportunities. Brahim Diaz as well. But their primary focus is going to be on defending and not conceding because they've got the lead, they're away from home. So it's down to Tottenham to give it a go. And first half, they didn't do that at all, really. They sort of limped their way to half-time 0-0. And second half, they gave it a bit more of a go. They had a couple of efforts coming close. Højbjerg forcing a save out of Magnon, and Kane with a late header, which Magnon did have to make a really good save. But, it wasn't enough. The substitutions, Richarlison coming on, Richarlison didn't make enough of an impact for me. Pedro Porro as well, I don't think he did well enough. Wasted really good free kick opportunity as well. So yeah, just not good enough from Tottenham really, to be honest. And the red card from Christian Romero was just another moment of stupidity. I find him increasingly frustrating because not even like I'm not a Tottenham fan, but it's just frustrating to watch because he's such a good defender, but he just hot-headedness just gets the better of him. It's not too dissimilar, to be fair, to Granit Xhaka at Arsenal prior to the past couple of seasons, where he's a really good technically gifted midfielder, can strike a ball from any sort of distance, and has superb passing ability, a good leader, but just can't keep a cool head when he needs to at times. And Xhaka has got better at that, and Romero is a lot younger than Xhaka, still got a bigger portion of his career ahead of him. But he showed at the World Cup he can, when his head's on it, he can be a brilliant defender, and he showed for Tottenham in the 18 months he's been there that he probably is their best defender. But it's just moments like what we saw with 10 minutes to go tonight that are sort of letting him down, really, I would say. Because, Tottenham, for the final 10 minutes of the game, they could have definitely done with having the extra man on the pitch, whether it be for set pieces or even just having that sort of extra licence to push the wing-backs further forward, to get Ben Davies and Pedro Porro right up there as well. So, it was just... I'd imagine Conte would be a little bit annoyed with him at full time for that second bookable offence. And, I think he knew it was coming. I don't think that he, for 1 second, that he was actually hurt by it. So yeah, it's just a bit of a typical Tottenham performance in the Champions League, and that they will feel very disappointed with it, I think. And I think Conte as well, substitutions he did make, Heung-min Son wasn't really getting in the game, and it always felt as though there was no one in this Tottenham team to try and take on their man. And I feel as though when you've got someone like Dan Juma as an option, why not use him? Because he's one player who's going to be able to beat a man, and that's what Tottenham needed, someone who could take on their man and get the ball into the box for Kane, Son, Kulusevski, whoever. So yeah, I found that a bit confusing at times from Antonio Conte as well. Milan did have their chances on the break as well in the second half. I mean, there were times at the second half where you just watch Rafael Leao sort of like just blitz his man, whether it be Christian Romero or Clement Lenglet. Just it's incredible the amount of speed he's got over 20 metres or so. There's very few players that are as quick as him in the world. In fact, I'm sure he probably gives Adama Traore a run for his money. I think Traore is suited to longer distances, but Leao has this incredible ability over like even as little as 10 yards. It's just like he's straight into his stride sort of thing. So yeah, he's just incredible to watch. Milan did hit the post and they did force a few saves out of Fraser Forster, so it wasn't like Tottenham had all the good, well, they only had 2 times where they did test Magnon, but it wasn't like Milan weren't going for it in the second half on the counter-attack. They did have opportunities. Diaz had a couple of opportunities. Origi, after he came off the bench, he had a really good opportunity that when he took it, it came just after Magnon made the save to deny Kane's header. When he took the shot, in my head I could just picture the Champions League final in 2019, sorry, and it was on his left foot in a similar position. I think in the final he was a bit closer to goal, but a bit wider, so it wasn't too dissimilar. And it's a left-footed shot across goal this time. He's hit the post though, and it's bounced up kindly for Forster. So yeah, that would have made a headline if Origi had got the winner late on once again. It would just been funny more than anything as a Liverpool fan personally. But yeah, it's Tottenham. It's like where does Tottenham improve from here? Because there's obviously multiple routes you can go down in terms of how do they improve. So if you've got one, replace the manager, that's obviously always one answer when how do you improve a football club. And I think that's an option, not because Antonio Conte is a bad manager, but because things can go wrong with Conte in the dressing room. That's been shown throughout his career. And 2, he's I'm not saying he's a one-trick pony, but he's very reluctant to try anything else than the system he likes to use, which is the 3-4-3, well, 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it. So that's another option. There's obviously talk about Poch returning, and maybe that could work, but something different needs to be tried with the formation, because it just does look too stale. There's nothing coming from the centre of midfield in terms of creativity without Rodrigo, Bentancur, I don't think, or that something needs to be changed, because at the moment any sort of creativity just seems to come from Harry Kane or the wing backs or set pieces, that there's not enough sort of diversity in terms of where the chances are coming from. So that's a big problem for them, I think. And Milan, well, the question for now for them is how far can they go in this tournament, because half the quarter-final teams have been decided. That's Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Benfica and Chelsea. Now Chelsea, I think they beat Milan twice in the group stages, so that's not a good omen. But they're capable of beating Benfica, and Bayern are obviously going to be the toughest team in that. So with a bit of luck, if they get a kind draw, they can possibly make it to the semi-final. I think. I mean, anything can happen. It's at the end of the day, it's only 5 games, quarter-finals to the final. So it's not impossible that Milan could win the competition. It's not impossible that anyone could win the competition from quarter-final onwards. So yeah, They are a good side though. There's a reason why they did win Serie A last season, and yeah, they are a good team to watch. That they have a different style to a lot of the teams that you see in Italy these days. They like to play I would say they play a counter attacking football, but also they sort of combine that with taking risks in sort of pushing fullbacks really far forward and sort of stretching their own defence and leaving gaps at times, which is something that it definitely isn't associated or is traditional Italian style. But yeah, anyway, Milan are through. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.